Hello, everyone, and welcome here to the Saint Anselm Coaches Show here on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com. My name is Nick Anastos. We'll be joined by Coach Murphy in just a moment. Every Tuesday from 12 to 11 here on 12 to 1 here on campus, we will review the week that was, preview the week to come, focusing around, of course, football primarily, but we'll have some other sports for you as well. You can find us on the radio dial, both 900 and 1250 AM, and also online, as I mentioned, at ESPNNewHampshire.com. Football is here. St. A's, a real joy to watch last year, as we know, exploded in a couple of different games, won 2 football games, finished up 2-9, but that offense really was the main attraction. Quarterback Andrew Murphy earned himself a Northeast 10 Rookie of the Year award, set some St. A's records along with sophomore wide receiver Justin Bernard, who set some school records of his own. Here to talk about the upcoming 2013 campaign is the sixth-year head coach, Patrick Murphy. Coach, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Well, where do we begin here? Let's start with the off-season. What's new with the program?
As far as off-season, the guys have done an excellent job. They've really embraced the program and what the tenets of the program are. Which is play smart, hard, fast, and physical. They've worked, during the winter conditioning aspect and during spring ball under our guidance, and really took it to the next level where we've been. And the hard part for me in college at this level is not having the hands-on with them during the summer. And it's really, on them to get it done. They came in better shape than when we left them in spring, and that's half the battle. They're ready to go, and you can tell it's important to them, and we're looking forward to the season.
You and I talking a moment ago off air about some of the seniors and how they've kind of taken the program by the horns, so to speak. That's a reflection of that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's no longer the coaches having to coach the little things to the degree that we had to before. We're still coaching those, but we're really getting beat to the punch in a lot of cases by the upperclassmen, the sophomores, the juniors, the seniors, really taking it upon themselves to take that next step and take ownership of the program, and they've done a great job with that.
Talking with head football coach Patrick Murphy. It's your 6th season now, Coach, and you said again off air, you now have really a program, and not just a football team, but a football program. The seeds that you laid down, so to speak, starting to bear some fruit here in year number 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Our first several years here is really just, as I said before, triage. We were just trying to get our heads above water.
Right.
Now we're actually trying to make some progress. We're excited about it, and that really, is attributed to the upperclassmen. Really working, understanding, buying into what we've been telling them, and it's a lot of fun to coach here now.
Now you've got a youngster again at the head of the offense, Andrew Murphy, freshman last year, came on about midway through the year and lit the place on fire. That spread offense seemed like he was able to grasp it right away. In year number 2, what are some additions you're looking for from him to add to his game?
Yeah, really to take it the next step. He's worked extremely hard. He's very serious about the reins, taking the reins, and having control of the offense. And he's worked hard to really get it down pat. This past off season, it wasn't just what do I do. It was him asking, what does the offensive line do? What do the receivers on every play do, not just the pass concepts? And I really expect him to take his play to the next level. And the great thing about Andrew and his ability is twofold. Number one, he makes the players around him better with his play. And number 2 is the guys see how hard he works, and they want to play well for him.
What is he like off the field? Because he's still a young guy. He's only a sophomore. The quarterback position seemingly carries more pressures, not only amongst the coaches, but maybe amongst his teammates as well. Is he trying to become that leader that the position entails?
I think that's the unique thing with him is sometimes it comes across, forced with some people. He's relatively unassuming. He's not a, hey, look what I did type of guy. It's, hey, look what we did. And I think the linemen, especially the receivers, the running backs, all rally around him rather than him trying to get them to lead.
Right.
They just follow.
Keith Charles is a veteran guy on this team, running back. He's now a senior. You talked about that group of seniors overall that have been with the program. Charles, it seems like, has been able to play over the years. What is his role as a senior, and what is his dynamic like in the locker room?
Keith is a quiet leader, a leader by example. But the thing with Keith is when he does voice his opinions, everyone stops and listens.
Right.
Yeah. He does. It's not a constant barrage of him telling them things, but when he opens, it's like the old E.F. Hutton deal. Everyone listens. Keith has been the one constant over the last 4 years. He started every game since his second game of his freshman year, and he's 100% all the time. He's all the way in all the time, and I think the young guys see that, respect that, and I'm expecting great things from him because he's in better shape than he's ever been, and that's saying something for Keith because he's always in phenomenal condition.
On the other side, Greg Bell was a guy you worked in, got 75 carries over 10 games, kind of a 60-40 split maybe last year with Charles. How do the carries get distributed this year between those two?
Well, Greg's no longer with us. So, basically what's going to happen is Keith, for the first time since we've been here, is going to have to share the load with a group of guys who I think are all very similar to him in that they're more tailback types. Whereas Greg was a fullback type.
So kind of a committee situation?
Yeah, but the great thing about it is with Keith is he's going to be able to get a break and then, take a series off and then be able to get right back there. We're going to basically alternate him with a couple other guys that have had excellent off seasons and excellent falls in that Jason Busfield, who's a local product out of Winnicott, Mike Flanagan, who's another one of those seniors who's been here and done that and really worked hard over his time here, and then a couple freshmen who have been outstanding and are really sudden athletes in that they can get to the end zone in a blink in a multitude of ways, and that's Joe Heyman and Trevor Patton, who bring an element of speed that we haven't had in the backfield.
You're listening to the Saint Anselm Coaches Show live here from the dining hall on campus. St. A's football team opening up Saturday at home against Bowie State, trying to capitalize on what was a pretty strong finish last year, certainly coaching that Seton Hill game where your team exploded, set several records, including total offense, 774 yards. Was that a good way to kind of close out last season and bring some momentum into 2013, or is the past now the ancient past?
Unfortunately, points and yards don't carry over. The guys understand that, and that was a great game. It's one for the record books, but it's a game that happened last year. And as we talk about all the time is there is no defending champion from Danny 10 this year.
Right.
It's a completely new team.
Right. New
Haven has a completely new team. St. Anselm has a completely new team. There's no returning starter at quarterback for St. Anselm. Okay, I don't care who wins the job, and the same thing goes for every position. And Andrew's done a great job, but if he gets passed, he gets passed. And that's one way how we approached every game, every snap, every practice. And we tell the guys that all the time. And it's a completely new year. Everybody has a completely new team. So, that game, while it was great, and it's one for those guys to remember, doesn't make...
And I think it keeps the guys sharp as well. It keeps that competitive nature intact.
Absolutely.
With especially the good players.
Sure.
That nothing is taken for granted for sure. Sticking with the offense here for a moment, we mentioned at the top of the show Justin Bernard's season last year as a sophomore, set several St. A's receiving records. Seems like he has that kind of build to be a pretty good wide receiver, big, tall, long, a red zone threat, etc. How do you utilize him and take him to that next step, building on what was already a pretty good year last year?
Yeah, I think with Justin, he's come in better shape than he's ever been before. He's worked harder in the offseason than he has in the past. I think the success he had last year in getting the notoriety with some of the All-American teams that he did really kind of boosted his confidence and really got him working harder than he has in the past. And
you've seen that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's come in. He's always been a real physical receiver. He's a big kid, like you mentioned. He does have good speed. And I think he's taken all of those attributes and he's improved on all of them. He's a phenomenal blocker. I know it's crazy talking about a kid who caught over 1,100 yards in passing a year ago, but he's a phenomenal blocker. He's a selfless player and really does it all.
Other playmakers that kind of stood out last year, to me anyway, was Akeem Williams.
Yeah.
We saw him have a couple of phenomenal breakout games. He's a Syracuse kid, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Akeem Williams, and then, of course, there were other guys up and down. Craig Dennis kind of as that lone senior, was a go-to guy at other moments. But overall, from the core, what do you expect to see outside of Justin Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have 4 of our top 5 receivers back. Mm-hmm. We have Justin, we have Akeem, we have Eric Feehan, who's another New Hampshire product who's been a consistent player for us, and Brandon Gomes as well as Keith being another one of those receivers. Akeem could be scary. I mean, that's the thing, is Akeem is just starting to figure out how to play receiver. He played multiple positions in high school, none of which were receiver. So he's going to his 3rd year ever playing it, and he's figuring it out, which for us is very good, and for opposing defenses should be a little bit frightened about that. Eric Feehan and Brandon Gomes are 2 giant targets on the outside. Eric's 6'4", 220-plus pounds. Brandon Gomes is another 6'2", 220-plus pounds kid. Both physical, both tremendous blockers, both have size matchup problems, pose size matchup problems for opposing defenders. So it's a great group. To me, it's our strongest group on the team, the receiving core. And the great thing about them is they are not complacent. They constantly push each other. They compete with each other. They want to be coached. They want to be great. They don't want to be good. They want to be great. And they all want to be better than the other guy.
Talking offense with head football coach Patrick Murphy here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com. How about up front, Coach? The offensive line seems like they were a unit that you were able to use in multiple ways, I think, last year.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
The run game was stronger. The pass game spoke for itself.
Sure.
And it started up front.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see improvement in the run game because of them this year. It's the first time that we've had all 5 intact returning starters from the year before. We've shuffled a few positions around, and I think we found a better degree of chemistry than we had. And I'm excited to see them play this year. We got to stay healthy up front. But outside of that, Mike Schiavi, Zach Lombard, David Boardman, James Gibbons, and James Murphy are returning with quite a bit of experience under their belts, and they've all had a tremendous offseason, came in bigger, faster, and stronger than they were before.
Any one of those 5 stand out that you expect maybe a little bit more?
David. David being a 4-year starter, David Boardman, and we moved his position. He's now working at center, where he's played all 5 positions during his time here, and he's now going to start at center for us. He's had a tremendous camp. Has been a dominant player at times. We would like to get that at times out of the equation and just make that pretty consistent.
Right.
And but he is someone that we're expecting great things from, leading that group this year.
Anybody new coming in, a freshman, somebody who maybe didn't play as much last year, that's caught your eye over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think you take a look at
offense.
Yeah, the returners. I think Jason Busfield, we moved him in the spring from receiver to running back, and is really starting to blossom. And he's had an excellent camp.
He's the Winnicott
kid. Right? Yeah, he's had an excellent camp. And then our young running backs, along with Jason, the freshman running backs, particularly Joe Heyman, brings an element of speed to that position that is just a different level of speed than the guys that we've had there. He is extremely quick, very explosive, an excellent receiver, and I'm excited to see what he can do with the ball in his hands.
On the other side of the football, the defense. It seemed like that was kind of the Achilles heel last year. What's the overall picture defensively right now?
Well, it dramatically improved from the standpoint that we've given up less big plays through fall camp to our own offense than we ever have, which is the number one criteria as far as being a good defensive team. Right. So that's number one, and that was the number one thing that when Rob Eggerling, our defense coordinator, and I sat down this past winter, that we really examined, and how do we do that? And we made some minor tweaks to the defense. We're going to base our coverage out of a different base look than we have in the past. And the guys in the back end, the guys in the secondary, we're not starting 4 freshmen back there like we did a year ago. So they all have experience. They all have a season under their belt, and then a spring ball season under their belt, and they're comfortable back there. And I think we're putting them in the correct position to make plays and not give up the big ones. And that's, like I said, that's our biggest thing.
So, and not to simplify anything here, but the mistakes on the back end were kind of the leading factor.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
a
a huge. Anytime you have a mistake back there, that's the last line of defense. It's not going to end well.
It's over.
So the big thing for us is to limit those, and I think the changes we made to the defense is helping us do that. I think it better suits our athletic ability of those individuals back there, and I'm excited. Are we going to be the 85 Chicago Bears right away? No, but we're going to be a dramatically improved defensive team. We are not going to give up big plays, and when we have a lead in the fourth quarter, I expect us to be able to hold on to it.
Pat Murphy is our guest here on the St. A's Coaches Show. The football team opens up the season at home against Bowie State on Saturday. Tickets still available for a 1 o'clock kickoff. I'm Nick Anastos here on ESPN New Hampshire. A few more moments with Coach. So the offense we knew was good. The defense has gotten better. Special teams. One third of the football game, as we know. What do we see there?
No, I think Shane Grayson has had a great camp. He's going to do the majority of our kicking and punting for us right now. And I expect to take a huge step forward.
He'll do both.
He was a freshman a year ago, kicked off for us, did majority of our field goals, and I expect him to be able to do both this year. He's had a great camp. He's worked extremely hard. He has a kicking coach that he meets with. He's one of those type of guys year-round down there in South Florida where he's from.
Well, that's good, though. He's taking it serious.
No question. And he does take it serious. And to him, when he's on the field, it's the only time that matters. And that's great because I want a guy who wants the pressure on him. And he's had a great camp. I think
how's his leg?
He's got a tremendous leg, both in kicking, kickoffs and punting. He's hitting 50-yard field goals in practice, and it's something that we take serious. We have not had a single practice. We didn't have at least one special teams working right from the start of camp. So lots of times in fall, you don't really get into special teams until midway through camp. We've spent quite a bit of time on it. When we, obviously now we're in season, we're going to spend at least 20 minutes a day in the kicking game. We feel it's important. Like you said, it's 1/3 of the game, and it's an area we feel we can get an edge because we're going to work harder and smarter at it than the average team.
Seems like that was not an option in years past with some of those long kicks. Does that change your decision making as a coach? It must, right?
Absolutely. Now instead of going for it on 4th down inside the 30. Now we have a viable option to kick a field goal, get 3 points, and have a legit shot at it, as opposed to tossing up a Hail Mary and saying, "Hey, I hope we get it." Shane gives us that ability to, once we get inside a certain part of the field, now field goal's an option. It changes the play calling for me. It opens up a variety of possibilities. We can take more chances, knowing that we don't have to get it all in one chunk. So if we don't get it on 3rd down, hey, we can kick a field goal. And
60-year head coach Keith Murphy, our guest. Coach, at this point, you've had 5 years now on the job. How have you grown as a coach? And is there a wrinkle or a change maybe in your philosophy here in year 6 that maybe we didn't see in year 1?
I think I'm listening to the players more in that when I first arrived here, it was such a mess. Everything was my way, all the way, or it was the highway.
It was a dictatorship, not a democracy.
And that's it. And it's still not a democracy, don't get me wrong. What I tell players all the time, it's a benevolent dictatorship. So in that, they can come to me. We have a team council. They can come to me and, hey, coach, we want to do X, Y, and Z. And we'll have a discussion about that. And if they're right about things, then we'll do it. And if it's better, then we'll do it. And where in the years past, I would kind of just tune that part out. And I'm letting my assistant coaches coach more as opposed to micromanaging to a larger degree. I trust the guys. The school itself has allowed us to bring in more full-time coaches than we had when I arrived here. That has allowed me to hire better people. And you win with people, bottom line. You win with better players, you win with better coaches, and the school has allowed us to do that. So
now, when you say you let your assistant coaches coach, that means kind of you've allowed them to build up kind of a long leash, and years of trust now are starting to pay off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we meet so much during the off season. It's not just about during the fall. And the guys that we have on staff, I trust that they're going to coach their guys in the way that I want them coached, into the level that I want them coached.
Right.
Rather than our first several years here, it was a revolving door. We were paying full-time guys in the office $8,000, and it was kind of difficult to do those things. Now we have a great group of coaches who coach literally anywhere in the country, and they work their tails off, and they put the time in. And like I said, it's because of the school's direction. We're doing a much better job of giving us the tools to win. We're still not all the way where we need to be, but we're working to that direction. And right. I know with President DiSalvo coming in, we're really excited about the future of the athletic program.
And we will speak with President DiSalvo on the other side here on the St. A's Coaches Show. A couple minutes left with Coach. Let's talk about the opponent in Week 1. Opening up at home against Bowie State on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Boy, Coach, you've got a tough schedule here just from looking at some of the rankings here. Bowie State is obviously a formidable opponent, especially the first one out the gate, and you're at Stonehill, home for New Haven and Southern Connecticut. I guess we'll stop right there. That's at least 3 home games in September. What about the first one out the gate? That's Bowie State.
Yeah, you could have stopped at Bowie State. That's enough on my plate for right now. Bowie's an extremely athletic team, very well coached. They get both sides of the ball. They have guys who can run, and the team speed is probably better than we're going to see all year, both offensively and defensively. We have our work cut out for us. They're a very aggressive defensive unit. They bring pressure a lot. They play a lot of man coverage, which we don't see a ton, so we have to be prepared for that. They have an All-American at redshirt sophomore, kid by the name of Pumphrey, playing one corner position. They have 4 Division I transfers coming in this fall in the secondary to join him, and an already strong secondary unit. They have transfers coming in from Miami of Ohio, West Virginia, and 2 from Towson, all in the secondary.
Let me stop you real quick, Coach.
Sure.
That does not make you change your offensive philosophy, though, because obviously the pass has been the bread and butter.
Yep.
You don't shy away from that just because of weapons in the opposing secondary.
Absolutely not. I mean, and that's the thing that I've talked to our receivers about is, hey, they think that that's going to be their strength. That's our strength. Who's better? Right. And like I said before, that receiving core loves a challenge. They feel that they're the best guys out on the field every snap. And until someone proves them otherwise, I'm with them. So we're going to go right at them, and we're going to play our brand of football. They also have a transfer from James Madison on the defensive line. We'll account for him in a couple different ways. And we're going to play our brand of football on offense.
How big is it opening up at home as opposed to the road?
So much nicer to do that home on the home sideline. Have the stadium right behind us, and be able to do it in front of our hometown fans. So there's so many unknowns going into the first game of the year anyway. When you do it on the road and there's a lot of firsts on that trip. Right. It makes things a little bit more difficult. On the heels of that, how important is a strong start to the season? Yeah, we talked about the three of the first 4 games are at home in September. Sure. Start fast, finish faster. That's one of our deals. And I want to get out there. I want to play well. All right, play to our best of our ability, and we'll win the game. I'm a firm believer in that. Our guys, in years past, I couldn't say that. I can say that now with a straight face. Is bottom line, if they control the controllables themselves, don't worry about the things outside of their control, like the officials. All right, and just do what we coach them up to do, play to their ability. We'll win the game, and I can say that about any of those guys, anyone on that schedule. Between now and Saturday, and this will be the final question here for
head coach Keith Murphy. What is on the agenda? What are some of the final things that you need to tune up before kickoff Saturday at 1 o'clock?
Everything.
Everything.
We've got to be sharper in every phase of the game than we are right now. I don't want us ready to play Bowie on a Tuesday. I don't want us ready to play Bowie on a Friday. I want us, when we complete Friday's practice, I want us ready to, all right, we're primed, let's go. But we've got a lot of polishing up to do as far as the game plan goes in every facet of what we do. But, bottom line, at the end of the day, we got to stop the run, not give up the big play, and protect the football. We do those things and play well in the kicking game, we'll win.
Coach, best of luck. We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks for joining us. This was fun. That is Coach Keith Murphy here on the ESPN New Hampshire St. A's football show. Coach, a crowd favorite here at the dining hall. On the other side here, we will talk with the new president, Mr. DiSalvo, and also hear from a St. A's football player. Again, the Hawks open up on Saturday at 1 o'clock against Bowie State. Tickets still available, and also season tickets are available as well. Season ticket packages available through the St. A's athletic department. General admission season ticket packages can be purchased just $40 for adults, $15 for youths and seniors. General admission single game tickets, $7 for adult, $3 for teens and seniors. General admission for the October 19th homecoming game against Merrimack College is $10. Coming up on the other side, again, a couple of interviews, and we'll get right back to business after a quick break here. This is the St. A's Coaches Show, live here from the Hilltop every Tuesday on ESPN New Hampshire, and ESPNNewHampshire.com. Here to the Saint Anselm Coaches Show on with you on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPN New Hampshire. Keith Murphy talking St. A's football in the first half hour. The Hawks here at home. I'm very happy to be here. I know. They say you're a sports guy.
Well, she has 4 children. The oldest is 51. I grew up in sports. My first job at age 16, I was a vendor at Shea Stadium selling peanuts and hot dogs, and fell in love with baseball, and then other sports followed. I was raising money for Catholic colleges and got asked to run some nonprofits. And there was an intersection of what I loved, which was sports, and the opportunity to raise money and do good. So eventually I started my own firm doing philanthropic fundraising and philanthropy. And so I've been able to travel around and help organizations raise money, raise awareness, and build a stronger brand.
Inspiration there.
I think part came from my upbringing, my Catholic education, but also my parents who really pushed me to help other people. But an interesting intersection between being able to do good and do well at the same time. And I met lots of people along the way who were successful at that, and I was blessed to have an opportunity to do it myself.
New St. A's Coaches Show.
So, sister is an Ursuline nun who taught me in high school, and in 1976 we got to know one another. She was my Spanish teacher. She came to me about 20 years later and asked if I would help her brother, who was then manager of the Yankees, to start a family foundation. And the focus was on domestic violence education. Where do young people go for help? What are the warning signs? and what types of services could we provide. And so I helped them launch the foundation and eventually ran the foundation for almost 4 years. It went from a mom-and-pop organization in New York to a $6 million a year operation doing all kinds of national awareness campaigns. Wonderful work.
Short and long term, now that you're the president here at St. Anselm's?
Well, I've talked about building the brand. I think this is a very, very good institution that is well known within the region. I think we need to broaden the band beyond a 100-mile radius and get out to coastal Connecticut, to New York, to Washington, and even out to Chicago.
And how do you do that?
Well, you do it in a number of ways. We need boots on the ground in some of these places, getting our admissions team out in front, but you also do it with athletics. Building a brand also means greater awareness by having your teams travel to some of those locations and piggybacking alumni events and admissions events around those things. I think there's enormous opportunity because we have programs that are growing and are becoming more competitive, and nothing better than having people rally around those things.
Athletics, in the end, really is kind of a vehicle to promote the school more as a whole, and I think why so many in the athletic department were pleased with your hiring and your vision, because it obviously promote athletics at the same time.
Well, I have some experience in this. So I was chair of our athletic conference when I was out in Wisconsin, and I knew that this was very important, looking at the student-athlete experience, where student comes first, but we also understand the value of the student-athlete, and knowing that you can recruit quality students who play a sport, that over time you're building teams both in the classroom and on the field or the court or the ice, and these are very, very important components of how you develop the whole person, how the student can become a leader, and how we can get quality students to be at Saint Anselm College.
Stephen DiSalvo, the new president here with St. A's, talking on the St. A's Coaches Show. A couple minutes left. What are the other ways in year one you can, get the word out and say, you know what, this is our brand, this is St. A's? Are there immediate steps that you can take, or is it more kind of a long-term process?
No, there are immediate steps. One of the things we have to do is ask people to get involved, ask them to help us. I was in a meeting this morning with some alums, and they just want to be asked to do things on behalf of the college. So doing receptions for admitted students, for prospective students, hosting events in their hometowns where we could bring greater awareness. We're going to launch a capital campaign. It will have many components that will help this institution, but we need people to rally around this. So in many respects, it's about mobilizing the troops who feel great, but want to do something good. And we just need to point them in the right direction and provide the right resources, and that'll happen.
What was it about this job, St. A's as a whole, that was attractive to you?
So I knew Father Jonathan, my predecessor. We sat on a national board together for 3 years. I knew about the school. I didn't know the detail until I started interviewing. And the more I found out, the more it resonated with who I am as a Catholic institution, as a private institution, in a market that I happen to know quite well, which is the Northeast, but getting to a place that is rich in tradition and at the same time open to new ideas and willing to grow. That is a very exciting thing for a young president like me.
Doesn't hurt to have a beautiful campus tucked away.
It doesn't hurt at all. I love it.
Stephen DiSalvo, the president, joining us. Let's talk show. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.
That is Stephen DiSalvo. Some news and over the college, much better hands with. We're long number 4-year starter Keith Charles making his way over. He's the running back. Greeting President DiSalvo, having a Season ticket on sale now. St. A's open on just a few days from now. Again, there he is, Keith. How's it going? I think face. You were on the show last year.
Oh yeah.
Welcoming you back.
The summer's been pretty good. It was really productive. I stayed up here for a month and a half, working out with the team, a couple guys, a couple seniors, and we've just been running routes and stuff like that. Anything to get the team better. It was really a bonding experience this summer. So a lot of guys stayed up this summer here on campus, and then parted ways halfway through to come back and camp.
Now you're from Maryland, right? Yeah. You usually, or in summers past, had gone back home for a few weeks.
Yeah. I usually spent the summers home, but this year we took kind of a commitment to stay up here for a majority of the summer and work on certain things that we need to work on. Watch the film.
Was that a player's decision?
Yeah, only a player's decision. It had nothing to do with the coaches.
And that's different from years past.
It's definitely different from years past.
Is that a result of kind of you and your fellow seniors now been in the program long enough where it's time to take some initiative, so to speak?
Yeah. It comes from the leadership stance. A lot of seniors wanted to see improvement, and the improvement was to stay up here during the summer and bond and kind of work on the things that we don't get a chance to work on during the year. So, I mean, it was a pretty good experience for all of us.
Keith is our guest here on the St. A's Coaches Show. Now, tell me a little bit more about some of the things you've done with those guys here over the summer in terms of group workouts and group activities. What does that entail exactly?
Which we went up in numbers every day. We took who's here and who's where, and where do they need to be by the season. We did a conditioning. We had an intense conditioning test this summer that we all prepared for, and with our quarterback Andrew Murphy, he broke down Blue State's defense, our first opponent this Saturday, and pretty much that. And other than that, it was just a team aspect, just being up here together.
Sounds great. Yep. Tell me a little bit more about your individual goals. You're a guy who's been in the system, you've been with Coach Murphy, you know the offense. Here in your final season on the Hilltop.
I'm trying to make it an even better fourth year. I'm looking forward to kind of leading our school in rushing right now. But I finished 13th in all-purpose yards, kickoff, return, receiving, and rushing. Individual goals, yes, win as a team. I put the team before I put myself. So as long as we can get some wins in that column, in the W column, then I'm fine with that.
It seems like last year there was more optimism. The team was more, I thought, competitive. You had the 2 wins to show for it. You had that explosion in the last week of the year. It seemed like every week the momentum kept going up. Is that fair?
Yeah, this is a fair segment. The more games we played, the better and defense played. Getting our defense to click early and often. And if we can get the gel early in the season, then we should be a legit team this year.
I mean, how important, with that being said, is those first few weeks? Is that first month of the season? You have 3 home games in September.
Right.
That seems to me a pretty good opportunity to go out there, get some early momentum, get maybe a win or 2 under your belt, and then reassess things once October comes.
Right. To the games we have coming up, I think the intensity starts in camp. So we had a really intense camp, and trying to stay ahead of where we need to be this camp. So I'm kind of actually.
And you're comparing it to years past.
Yep.
Our guest, as he said, teams wherever the football can be found. Play in the game.
Honestly, just breaking up the field. But my favorite part of the game is, the heat of an intense game. When you're a senior and you're a captain, everybody looks at you for leadership. That's the moment that you wait for. That's the moment that everybody's looking at you like, what is he going to do or what should we do? And that responsibility, and knowing that you can carry that burden is always good.
I know you're a senior now, but you're kind of used to being in that leadership role, being a 4-year starter. Any difference now that you're a senior in that regard or no?
year at running back. But team to keep challenging themselves to be better on the field and off the field. So
Talked to him in the first half hour. He said you're not the most talkative guy in the locker room. You speak. Listens.
yeah, I get that a lot. He tells me that. I'm not but across. So we kind of balance each other out.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm just all about these guys to do the right thing. So yeah, I hope they listen to me, and I hope we have a great season this year.
How about the youngsters? We know about the seniors, the upperclassmen, the returning starters, but we've got a few weeks now at camp with the freshmen. Anybody jumping? How's
Prince George's County, where I'm from too. Standing out. Corey King from California.
Okay.
So we're starting to get another pipeline from Maryland, and we've got this group of freshmen. I think that are coming in are going to keep the momentum going that we started.
Keith Charles, our guest, the 4-year starter at tailback. Hawks open Saturday against Bowie State at 1 o'clock. Let me ask you this. You mentioned the Maryland pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
When you were in high school, how did you get recruited, and how did you end up here at St. A's? I'm not sure I ever the original tale.
Well, finishing up a basketball game, because I did play basketball in high school, and after the game I got a call from Coach Murphy. He told me that he saw and told me that he's really interested. He wanted me to come take a visit. I came up.
Basketball highlight. Okay.
And come up here to take a visit. I fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the people here. I also fell in love with the football coaches and the staff and the program. And from there it was a wrap. So
right. Mm-hmm. Never look back.
Never look back.
Good stuff. Pretty good secondary.
Yeah, this school's in my house. I'm kind of mad we're not playing down there, but they have pretty aggressive defense. Not in the past. Could hang with them, if not, surpass them. We have we have Keen Wood, who's up and coming junior this year. He's going to have a great year. We have in the perimeter. We have Andrew Murphy at quarterback. We have weapons, can pick apart a defense.
Sounds like it's going to be an old-fashioned shootout.
Old-fashioned shootout, yep.
At home, I asked this to Coach. He said, "What do you would think?"
Yeah, it's pretty. We're going to have school, so it's great to have that school spirit aspect. Nothing like it.
Any last? We'll talk again, I'm sure, at some point. But obviously, you want to go out and win first and foremost, get the victory, start out 1-0. But what about the game? What are you looking to accomplish with the game?
Start fast. Usually sometimes in the past, as you've seen, we start pick up the pace. I want to start fast and keep going fast from beginning to end, and that's pretty much the main goal for every game this year.
Good stuff.
Thank you, sir.
And good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
That is Keith Charles, the 4-year starting running back, and I think in line for maybe the biggest year yet. 10 rushes, 482 yards. He's a threat out of the backfield in the passing game as well, and as we know, he's a great special teamer, returning punts and kicks. About 5 minutes to go here on the Saint A's Coaches Show. I'm Nick Anastos here on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com. You can hear the show every Tuesday night, 5:30 to 6:30. We record it live right here in the dining hall from noon to 1 if you want to stop by and say hello. Well, the season is, of course, ticket packages are on sale right now, including Saturday's open against Bowie State. Season ticket packages of St. A's athletic department. $40 for adults, $15 for youths and seniors. That gets you in the door for the whole year. General admission for single game tickets, $7 for adults, just $3 for teens and seniors. General admission for October 19th's homecoming game against Merrimack is $10. Sports on the Hilltop. They play more than just football, as we know. Country team is going to take place in the Chaclet Invitational. That is also on Saturday. The women's race begins at 11. The men's race will kick off at noon. That's again the St. A's cross-country team at the Chaclet Invitational on Saturday. Also Sunday, the field team is at home. They will take on Dowling. That is also a 12 noon start. Field hockey in action on Sunday. On the road, the men's soccer team is at the Catholic Cup, which is taking place at Stonehill. The women's soccer team also taking part in the Catholic Cup. That game is at Assumption. So men's soccer all weekend, women's soccer all weekend on the road in the Catholic Cup. And then the volleyball team taking part in the tournament at Assumption. That is also this weekend. And don't forget about the golf team, St. A's Golf at Bodwin Invitational up in Maine. So for further information, all your scheduling needs and questions can be answered at the StAnselmHawks.com website, the official athletic website for St. A's Athletics. We've got, let's see, about 3 minutes or so to go. I'm Nick Anastos. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday from noon to 1 here, take live, and then you can hear it later on tonight, every Tuesday night at 5:30 to 6:30. We'll talk with some of the other fall coaches and players from some of the other athletic teams. There's certainly going on, and then, of course, once it goes around, basketball and hockey return to the forefront. Looking forward to talking to Coach Dixon and company once the roll around. But here's the closing statement, so to speak. And at the beginning of the show, he says, now, you know what, I'm dealing with a football program, not a football team. He's turned this team around 2 wins last year. More importantly, I think they were competitive in a lot of those losses. They held second leads in several games against divisional opponents, and as we know, the Northeast 10 Conference, one of the toughest in the region. So they're definitely on the right track. St. A's returns a lot of starters, more so, I think, than a lot of programs in the conference. Virtually the entire offense is back. They've got pieces to work with. They've got players to build around. Andrew is dynamic. He can throw around the yard. We know about Charles. We know about Bernard. We know about some of the speed. The defense, really the big question mark. Can they eliminate some of those mistakes, especially in the secondary? A young secondary, an inexperienced secondary in 2012. Now a lot of returning starters will be to bolster the back end of the defense in 2013. So the bottom line is the future is bright, and this season may be the year that St. A's comes out of the shadows and surprises some people in the Northeast 10 Conference. They have the skills to do it, no question about it. They're going to score some points. They averaged 27 a game last year. Wouldn't be surprised if that improves. Saturday, September 7th at 11. Versus at 1 o'clock. That is, of course, right here at St. A's, the season opener at home Saturday at 1. And then on Sunday, September the 8th at noon, field hockey takes on Dowling. Dan Young will join us. We'll talk volleyball and football. Great duo here on the St. A's Coaches Show. That is next week. Have a safe week. To Keith for joining us in the first half hour. Keith Charles, the running back, for joining us in the second half hour. And, of course, new St. A's President Stephen DiSalvo for stopping by as well. Today here on the St. A's Coaches Show, been a presentation of St. A's Athletics right here on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com.